You know what this is? This is an HD Tinyhawk. That's right. This is a Tinyhawk with built-in HD 0. They call this the Emax Tinyhawk 3 Plus HD. Now there are two versions of this. There's an HD version with HD 0, and then there is also an analog version of this drone. That's just the Tinyhawk 3 Plus. I'm reviewing the HD version. The biggest difference is going to be weight. The analog version is going to be lighter, it's going to be peppier, it's going to be able to do acro a little bit better, whereas the HD version is going to give you a better picture. So you kind of have to figure out which version are you looking for. Anyway, this guy isn't a whole lot different from the Emax Tinyhawk 3. Just a couple of little improvements. And the biggest is obviously the HD camera. That is really what we're looking at here. So here I am just taking the Tinyhawk 3 Plus HD for a little cruise. You know, I got it from the basement to the main floor. I even got it all the way up to the third floor, no issue, right? HD 0 tends to have pretty good signal penetration, and since I'm flying with an ELRS receiver on this thing, it's just really good. Now, I'm getting a little bit of extra breakup here. Let me talk about that for a second. So take a look in the upper left-hand corner. You see like a little thermometer. It's blue. It just changed color. It says VTX. Now it's green. As the drone sits and you don't take off, the VTX gets hotter and hotter. Now it's yellow, and that just makes everything just a little bit worse. You're gonna see it now. It's orange. It's gonna be red before I actually take off. Look at that. It's got a little fire icon. It performs better when it's cooler, and as I kind of fly, it'll cool off a little bit, but you know, you really want to get this thing in the air quickly so that you have the best performance from this video transmitter, which will perform better when it's cooler. Now, some people will tell you that HD 0 isn't better than analog. Yes, it is. This is analog. It is clearly better. It just looks better. It's clearer. It's cleaner. It's easier to make out details. You know, maybe it's not the same as DJI or Walk Snail, but it is better, and it does have really good latency, so you can have really good reaction time. So I'm going to fly it outside a little bit in acro, and you can kind of see, I think the camera looks even better outdoors. But this is kind of where the HD is a little bit of a hindrance in that it's a little bit heavier, so it's not going to fly quite as well as the analog version of the Tinyhawk 3 Plus. It'll be a little lighter, that one. You'll get a little bit more pep. Yeah, I mean, you can fly this thing acro. I think the rates are fairly slow out of the box, which is an easy fix. Not something I think most people should worry about. But yeah, it's a fun little flyer. Love flying this thing inside, and it flies well outside as well. So essentially, this is the Tinyhawk 3 with an HD camera, and some other improvements in the kit as well. And I love that they offer this as a kit. That is just such a great way for beginners to get into the hobby. Got some 0802 motors, pushing 4-blade props, F4 flight controller, all-in-one ESC, kind of all the standard stuff, but it's again the HD 0 that makes this thing different. Now, one thing that you'll note is this ships with 650 milliamp hour batteries versus the 450s that came with the older drones. And you absolutely want to fly in the 650s. I did try it on the 450s, but my flight times were like less than 2 minutes. With this guy, I was getting close to 4 on most of my flights. And yeah, I got a bunch of these on order, so I can just kind of keep ripping through some packs. Now, one of the things that make Emax better than most of their competitors is they put it all together for you in this really nice kit. So let's talk about what you have here. You have the goggles now. These are, of course, HD 0 goggles. This is the transporter, and this screen comes off. Now, I find these goggles to be fairly uncomfortable because my nose is pretty darn large, and they just don't rest quite well. It hits the bridge of my nose. So, rather than fly with these, well, honestly, I generally just fly with my HD 0 goggles because they're awesome, but what you can do is you can remove the screen and attach to the controller. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. The antennas they give you for this screen or the goggles, they're nothing special. You can certainly upgrade them later if you so choose, but they will get the job done. Now, the remote here is also an upgrade. This is an ELRS compatible remote. Yeah. that means that this guy is also running ELRS. So HD0 and ELRS all in this little quad. Those are your two big improvements. But I do also like that they've labeled these switches for beginners so you know what we're doing here, right? We got disarm, arm, beginner mode, intermediate mode, expert mode, beginner mode being angle mode where it's going to self-level. Intermediate is horizon, so you can still do flips and rolls if you push it all the way. And then expert mode being acro mode, and you're going to want to be flying outside for that. Got your beeper here and your flip over mode, turtle mode on the other switch. This is actually a really nice ergonomic remote, nice and small, nice and light. We've got a port on the bottom to charge it, and you can, yes, use this with a simulator. Get an extra set of propellers if you need them, some stickers in here, and then some cables here so that you can update your HD0. Inside this bag, we've got a USB-C cable, an Allen wrench, a charger, some extra hardware, and then this package here, that's the hardware to attach the screen to your controller. So you slide that in, so you tighten that down here. That's where you need it, and then you can just twist the screen on and boom, you're ready to fly, and you have the screen built in right there for you. So you can see, right, I got the picture right here on my screen, right in front of me. So if the goggles aren't comfortable, or perhaps you wear glasses and you don't fit inside the goggles, or, you know, sometimes just putting that screen so close to your eyes makes people a little bit nauseous. Definitely a nice option to have. Now, whether you put the screen here on your remote or you put it in the goggles, we do have an SD card slot so you can record your flights. That has a full DVR, and that's super nice. Now, there are other HD Whoop options out there. This is a walk snail version. Yeah, there's a DJI 03, but this certainly isn't going to fly like this Tinyhawk. I'm a big fan, especially indoors. Now, if you go with the HD version, it's going to be a little bit slower, which for beginners I think is a good thing. It doesn't do quite as well outside in acro as, say, you know, the traditional one would, right? So if you really want the best performance, I would go with the analog. If, you know, you want the best video, I would go with HD. Now, the biggest drawback to this HD is that it heats up really quick. So if you plug in your battery and you're kind of fuddling with things, getting everything ready, it's going to overheat. And when it gets really hot, the video picture isn't quite as good, right? You get a little bit more breakup. As you fly, it kind of circulates the air and cools it down. But my suggestion is the last thing you do is plug in your battery. Get everything else set up and ready to go, then plug in your battery, then take off. That'll help you avoid that overheating issue. All right, so let's see in terms of weight what we got going on here, right? The drone itself is 37 grams compared to my walk snail guy here, 37 grams. I got a lightweight HD0, 31 grams. My Pavo Pico is 75 grams. And then my drone here with that battery, 52 grams. So that's still pretty decent, right? Anyway, Emax has been making some pretty awesome stuff. I got the Baby Hawk 03 here. I got my Tinyhawk 3 Plus HD. So if you think about getting into FPV, we've got some pretty solid options. I prefer the smaller drones like these guys. I can fly this inside. I can fly this at the park, and people are going to yell at me. Lots of good stuff coming out of Emax this day, so make sure you check that out. I got a whole video on the Baby Hawk 03 here. That's a DJI Air unit inside. So if you want to see what this thing is all about, you're definitely going to want to check that out. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you're thinking about going pro, you're going to need a Part 107. I've got a whole curriculum for pilots looking to get their 107 for free for our Patreon. So link down below. And if you're interested in buying one of these drones, also have links down below so that you can do that. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.